What's up, Team Encore? Today we have a very special guest. We've got Patrick Koenig. He is a professional golf photographer. Really interesting story and some pretty incredible experiences that he's had in the past. We also want to talk about his RGB golf tour. And first and foremost, I want to introduce him. Let's welcome him and have him just give us a little bit of background on yourself and anything in particular that you want the Encore audience to know.
Oh, well, thanks for having me on today. It's a good morning out here in Arizona right now, and yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward. I love talking about the RGB Tour. I love talking golf photography. So, I mean, we could talk for 3 hours, but that seems slightly excessive. So I'm excited to jump on into it.
Awesome. So why don't you first kind of tell us what brought you into golf and what got you into photography? Like which one of those passions came first?
Yeah, golf came first. I remember as a little kid, I was um, I worked. I didn't work. I lived in a place called Arlington Park Golf Course. They had a little golf course down the street. It's a par three, par four. I think there were maybe four par fours. None of them longer than 300 yards. So one of those
Uh-huh.
types of places. And I didn't just start playing golf. I started looking for golf balls in the creek. And so I had a little business as a kid where I'd find these golf balls. And then we had this neighborhood garage sale every year. And by that time, I had like 500 golf balls. And then I'd put them all on sale. And we made a bunch of money. I think I'd sell them for, it was maybe a quarter a pop. It was like $5 a dozen, maybe 50 cents a pop, some $1. But just a little dude. And I think we made I had neighborhood kids working with me, and we had maybe like $500-600. It's just a little dude. I remember thinking, I was like, I'm gonna get my own place, live by myself, and retire. I got everything I need.
Yep.
Which was cool as a kid to have that sort of entrepreneurial spirit. And so that eventually I started playing. I started hitting those balls eventually, and that's what took hold was with golf. I mean, it's anybody that plays knows it's like a disease. Once you catch it, you got it, and it's a lifelong affliction for most of us, unless you give up, which people do. But then, I've always enjoyed taking photographs as well. And I never really did it professionally or even very well. I just enjoyed it until I started snapping shots. And I would always do it when I go to golf courses as a way to take the experience with me. And then,
Hmm.
they got popular on Instagram. And so as people started liking my photos, and I think I just reshared a couple of mine early on. And then I had like 1,000 new followers. And so it was like this thing. And this was back when Instagram was just not really that big. They still had the chronological timeline, and
Yep.
it wasn't the number one marketing tool on the internet. But I just reshared a couple of my images. And so I had to get better for my new followers. I felt like I owed them something to give them a show. And I was pretty good.
Are you not entertained?
Yeah. I was like, I gotta come up with some stuff, and so I did. I started coming up with the ideas for videos every once in a while, but a lot of course photography, and then that led to eventually people wanting to purchase these for their home, and then courses having me out to do full course shoots, and then it evolved. I think years ago the drones became an option instead of flying around in a helicopter, so that evolved to a lot of aerial photography, which is, I mean, it provides just a wildly unique vantage point to some of these places. And so
Yeah.
that's where we are today.
That's
That's the quick and
awesome.
dirty version. Yeah.
No, that's really cool. I mean, for sure. I mentioned to you yesterday that I'm huge into landscape and wildlife photography, and so I was really excited to talk to you. And I mean, I know it's tough to get an audience, and then you feel like you got to keep one upping it, and getting better and
Yeah.
better. I was looking at your stuff, and it's just gorgeous. And a drone is something that I really want to get, just because it's a whole different way, and especially with golf courses, I can imagine how different it is uh, hunting for a composition. You're looking for something that's going to lead the viewer into the photograph, and you can do that differently when you're at ground level. But when you're above, you're looking for those lines and those things to draw you not only downward, but into the depth, into the back part of the photo too. So I can imagine that's going to be a whole separate learning curve for me But really cool that, you kind of had both the experience of shooting from, whether it's a helicopter, and then being like, oh man, this is way easier. I can actually use a drone and get over these things and take my time and, actually hunt for the shot that I want. But they look magnificent.
Yeah, it's really cool. I mean, there's some definite advantages to having a drone, because when the magic hour hits, you've got an hour, and in a golf course, there's potentially hundreds of shots that are great. And you can find them much quicker. Normally you got to do 2 or 3 days to be in the right spots. And, sometimes it's tough to get to one area of the course or the other, where lighting might be just right for only a couple minutes. So when you're above the drone, you can kind of see what would look cool, where the sun is hitting the golf course when it's fading, and zip over there and maybe get a really cool shot. So it took a while to kind of get proficient at finding what's left on the golf course and that magic hour is fading. But drone's a great way to get there and get there quick. But the old goodie, the still from the ground is still a favorite. There's something about it. The camera's not as good. The capabilities are definitely not as good, but it's a game changer. If you're a course photographer, you got to have a drone.
Yeah, 100%. Well, that's cool. I could geek out all day over, photography terms and everything. I'm like, how much of this is going to go over the audience's head? But we'll do some fun little questions regarding your preferences and all that kind of stuff later. I want you to tell us a little bit about the RGB Tour, because I thought that was just an unbelievable story and thing that you did. And, wondering if not only how memorable was it, but is it something that you would do again?
Yeah, I mean, it was the greatest golf tour that's ever existed. That's what I like to refer to it as. But I'd absolutely do it again. I mean, I played 405 different golf courses in 365 days, and we raised over $20,000 for the first tee of Greater Seattle.
That's amazing.
So, I mean, that's something that I'd love to do again. Play that much golf, and helping out potentially kids that wouldn't have the chance to play golf, learn something great about the game. And I mean, it was the most effective way to play the most golf courses. And that was where the idea originally came up, because I got tired of these golf courses ending. I was like, dude, if we just drove 2 hours down the way, we could play Laurel Valley, or, or like whatever it is. There was always a course on the horizon that was right there, and we didn't get to. And so there's so many courses, and I just got tired of not seeing all the courses. And I was like, I gotta do this. And so I came up with the idea, and then we started adding these different pieces, having other golfers join the first tee. There's a rooftop driving range on top of that thing. And so all these things started coming together. And I was like, well, at this point, I got, once I bought the RV, it was go time. Once I wrote that check and was like, here's money for a 26-foot RV, and I turned it into an RGV, recreational golf vehicle. That's the RGB Tour. That's cool. That's where that all came from.
But, so were courses on board with it? I mean, did you have to get basically course permission, or were you paying to play all these courses? Were you like, hey, this is what I'm doing, and you got a hold of them way in advance, and they were like, oh, that's cool, I want to be a part of it, you can play around at our course?
It was a mix. Some courses were like, you can't bring that RV on our property because they have a ban against RVs. Some courses were like, I'd love nothing more than have you come out and to our course. And some courses were like, hey, we'd love to schedule a photo shoot. You're out there. So there was all sorts of different ways. And then other members reached out of clubs. They heard about the tour and said, come on out when you stop by Massachusetts, come play Eastward Ho. And so places like that was an easy call. Of course, I'd love to come play Eastward Ho with you. And a lot of those happened. And then it was, once you're playing with these guys, they say, hey, would you play here? Or I got a guy that would love to get you out here. You got to see this place. And so I left every state with essentially some great experiences, but also a list of like 10 courses that I wanted to play as well. So 405 courses isn't enough. You probably should do it for 2 years and play 1,000 or something. I don't know. There's a lot of golf in America.
Yeah, that's really cool too. We do a lot of work with the first tee. We're actually building a $37 million sport complex that, I mean, I'm sure you've been to a Top Golf. It's like that on steroids. We're putting one in Buffalo. and we're going to have the first tee of Western New York headquartered there, free of charge. We've done a lot of work with them over the years. So I think it's really cool, and definitely hits home the fact that that's where you, put your monetary donations toward after, because I think it is a great program. And I love that, they're all around the country, and that's awesome. So I kind of, oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, yeah, it was Evan Johnson. It was the program director over there at the First Tee of Greater Seattle. And Evan's one of those guys where you hang out with him for a little bit, you like him, you want to spend more time with him. But he's also one of those dudes you're like, this is the sort of guy that I would want to spend time with kids. This guy is a model dude. So the decision was easy. And versus dumping it into like the national HQ, where it may go to I don't know where. With Evan, it was clear that it was going right towards giving kids scholarships to play more golf and the facilities and things that they need to keep that program going. So it was an easy call having that relationship with Evan over at the First Tee of Greater Seattle.
That's awesome. All right, so now I want to talk about one of the, obviously you said this is one of your most asked questions, but for people who don't know you, I mean, when I read the article and, heard this story of you playing with Bill Murray at the Old Course, that's amazing, because he is by far one of the most beloved humans, I think, on planet Earth. And I think anybody who's, whether they're a golfer or just, a fan, would love to do anything, spend 5 minutes with that guy. I'm sure it was a riot, but can you tell the audience a little bit about that whole experience?
Yeah, you think about it. I mean, that's right at the top of the bucket list for guys that are like on the PGA Tour and have played Augusta National. Like, I'd rather play the Old Course with Bill Murray than play Augusta. I'm sure people would answer with that pretty quickly. But it was, yeah, I mean, it's kind of unbelievable. We were sitting at dinner, and then Bill Murray just kind of pops in night before, and that was wild enough to sit down and share a steak with Bill Murray. Then towards the end of the dinner, I knew we were playing because I let the media play on the Monday after the Dunhill Links, and so I was just excited to go play the Old Course. And guy runs the tournament there. I was like, when are we playing? He's like, I think we tee off at 3. It's me, you, and Greg and Bill. I was like, Bill Murray, and he's like, yeah. I mean, he just kind of, he's one of those guys that treats everybody just very normal. They're not as like starstruck over there, I think, as Americans are. But I was like trying to play cool while quietly freaking out that I get to play golf with Bill Murray for. We spent 4 hours on the Old Course, and sure enough, we teed off on 3 because it was a scramble. They started a gun, and right about 8 o'clock, Bill Murray comes in casually, maybe 5 minutes late. He'd been out partying and drinking with the townsfolk the night before, and we played 18 holes. And I mean, everybody asks, is he cool? Is he funny? And he is. I mean, comedy is wired to that man's DNA. Yeah. I tell people that if you ask him a question, there's 80, maybe 90% chance that you're going to get a joke answer, right? It's gonna go to comedy. That's where, even if it's like a serious question, he'll flip it on you quick. But within 4 hours, you do get some serious responses from Bill, and it's cool to see that sort of human side of him and realize that he's just a dude that is, loves making art, loves making movies. He's great at his craft. I mean, he knew a lot of things. He's talking about movies and a lot of cool things. He knows what he's doing. Obviously, he's a comedic genius, but it was the walk of a lifetime.
That's awesome. That's really cool. All right, so we've got about 10 minutes left or so. Got a couple questions from the audience, if you will. And we'll do a little game after that. So one question from Aaron Magnus is, do you golf to golf and photograph to photograph, or are you doing both at the same time? And does one distract from the other or help to keep your head in the present moment?
Yeah, that's true. I mix them because a lot of times, and I do both separately, but for the most part, I'm golfing and taking photographs at the same time because it's just kind of, there's not as much time as I'd love there to be. But sometimes I'll go out and I'll just do a shoot. I mean, if a course has hired me to do photographs for them, I'm going to go out there, scout the course, and then come back out in the right time and focus 100% on photography so I can get the very best images. And And other times, if I want to really care about my game or I've seen the course before, I'll just go and just play. But for the most part, I'm golfing and taking photographs. And yeah, obviously, if you're photographing on photographs, it takes away from your golf game in some respects. But taking photographs and capturing those moments gives me a lot of joy and a reason to be there as well. So it's worth it to me. And I've found that the score doesn't matter as much as I previously thought it did. And so if I can capture that moment and it costs me a couple of strokes, I could care less, you know. And other people, if I shoot 69 or 79, nobody really cares. I mean, they don't. I'm really the only one that matters, unless playing for money, they probably care what I shoot. But that doesn't happen too often. I just go out there and have fun with the game and capture those moments. And so, yeah, I do try to blend both of them, but ideally you can't make both of those and get 100% from both your game and your photography. It's tough. I've done a pretty good job on blending the two.
Cool. All right, we're going to kind of put two questions in one. This is from Steve Colton, who I think everybody knows him. He's a co-founder with me here at Encore Golf, and Peter Drew, who does all our social media and content creation. So they want to know, any tips for even amateurs, even if you only have an iPhone, you know, what are some tips for taking photos on the golf course, and what in your mind makes a great golf photo? Like what stands out to make something truly a unique golf photo?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I mean, I always start with find something that's interesting to you and what catches your eye, or like what you think is cool, something unique. I mean, it can be everything from like maybe a cool hazard, a green complex, some shadowing, the way the sun hits a tree, the way the sun hits a golfer, any of those different things. Find something that's cool. And typically you'll find those things really pop out of left and right field during the morning sunrise or the sunset. So those are great times to be taking photographs. Still, the day is going to be a struggle. Not to say you can't photograph during that point in time. Lights tend to be a little bit harsher. So take that image of whatever you got, that particular focus, and then try to compose it. I mean, study the rule of thirds. I won't go into that here, but put it in a place where the eye will be drawn to, and try not to, I mean, the stuff that I see a lot of is like, you can tell what they were taking a photo of, but it's like very tiny. It's not zoomed in properly with an iPhone. But make sure that is composed. Like you've got the pieces in the proper spots of your photograph. The thing I think see a lot of is just a lot of blue sky. Like 80% of your photograph is all blue sky, and that ends up being the focus of the image, whereas what you're looking for is not really properly composed. So I mean, those are some basic tips. Even with an iPhone, you can get some good shots if you're doing those things. Tend to have to be a little closer to your target with some of the limited zoom capabilities with iPhones. But if it's all right there, you can get some really cool stuff. And then and just take a lot of photos, see what you like, study. That's how I did. I studied other people's photographs that were good at it. I was like, why is this photo so good? And you start pointing out the elements, and then you can work them into your photographs and say, hey, this is what I like that Evan Schiller does. Like I can do this same sort of thing. Or Channing Benjamin does a really good job of finding these unique angles. Maybe take some inspiration from something that he did, and see if I can apply that in another course or my next photo shoot. And then they all start to kind of blend together, and you've obviously got your own unique eye, but inspiration comes from everywhere. And there's a lot of good golf photographers out there, and plenty of golf photos to take a look at. So look at those and see what you like, and then and don't be afraid to press that shutter button and try again. And that's what's the great thing about photography today, is that you can delete as many images as you want.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. No, those are great tips. Really appreciate that. So we're going to do two things. First, I'm going to have you pick a number between 1 and 20. So go ahead.
Okay. Oh, let's go with 11.
11?
Yeah.
All right. Now I need 1 through 3.
Let's go number 1.
All right. So what I'm doing is I've got your Instagram feed pulled up. So you went with 1 and 11. So we're going to go down 11 rows.
Oh, and 1 over.
11.
This is a good game.
And 1. All right. So I'm going to pull up the photo. By the way, I can't take credit for this. my buddy with the first question, Aaron Manis, he's been hosting these interviews with other photographers at night, and he came up with a couple of games. This was one of them. The one we're
This
playing
is a good
next
one.
but I
This is a good
thought
one.
they were really cool and entertaining. So this is the photo. Links course at Lawsonia. Can you see that?
Oh, Lawsonia. Yeah, I can see it. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
So
I remember that.
can you tell us the story behind that photo?
I think it was a while ago. I'd just gotten my drone, and the links course at Lawsonia is, most golf course nerds at this point will know that course is probably one of the premier public classic tracks that you can play. It's located in Wisconsin. I think it used to be a course. It was built in some ways, or maybe not some ways, for the mob out of Chicago to come and play there. There's some ties there. There's a I think it's an old boxcar built under one of the greens on the back nine. It's a par 3 that sits up on this hill. It's such a cool course, but it reminds me of a place that you would play. It'd be extremely private, but anybody can go out there and see that golf course. And so I was on a trip through Wisconsin, and I think it was probably taking in Century World and Erin Hills on that particular one, with Whistling Straits, and I got a tip that I needed a course. And the first time I saw it, I was like, oh man, this is really cool. A lot of grass bunkering. I think that's what just in that drone shot does a good job of capturing just the grass bunkering, which I think there's not enough of. There's a lot of bunkers, not as many grass bunkers. So that was a cool. I took that shot, and I was tickled pink when I got the drone above that piece of property. There's 2 courses there, but the links course is the fan favorite for sure.
Cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. All right, so we're going to do a quick rundown to end this whole interview. It's called This or That. So basically, you're just going to pick. I'm going to give you a couple options, and you're going to, pick essentially your favorite or what have you. So
okay, I like that.
All right, we're going to start off. Golf or photography?
Gotta go golf.
All right. Sunny skies or moody and dramatic?
I mean, depends how high the sun is. But I'm thinking you're talking middle of the day. Let's go moody and dramatic. Let's bring some drama in. Yeah.
That's what I like, man. I love that stuff. Drone or favorite lens? And by the way, what is your favorite lens?
Gosh, that's a good question because I love them both. I've got a Sigma 70-200 that I love. I love it. So you can get some good depth of field with that. You can photograph people as well as places. Let's go that route. Let's go with the Sigma.
All right. These are getting tougher. Gary Player or Jack Nicklaus?
Oh, Jack Nicklaus. Gary Player had some unkind words to say about one of my favorite places to golf, Chambers Bay, during the U.S. Open. And I don't think he's ever stepped foot on the course. And so he ripped it. And it was absolutely the wrong type of golf course this day and age, when the opposite is true. I mean, that place involves community. It's a blast to play. If you ever play Chambers Bay, you'll walk off there with a smile on your face because you work the ball, you can roll it in. It's shades of links golf blended with American. The views for days. I mean, I can go on and on about Chambers Bay, and he just ripped it. I was like, yeah, I get it. The greens aren't the best, but let's focus on the greatness here, Gary. Jack all day on that one. That was an easy call. Surprising.
All right. St. Andrews or Pebble Beach?
Oh, I love St. Andrews, and I've experienced it already at Bill Murray. But Pebble Beach is one of those special places where the land meets the sea like no other.
Yeah.
And I think I gotta go Pebble Beach for the photographer.
I was really curious about how you're going to answer that one, knowing that you had been at the other, and that's cool. All right, would you rather have a hole-in-one on a short par 3 or an albatross on a par 5?
Oh, Dad, go! I mean, I'm 0 hole-in-ones, and that was one of my stated goals on the RGB Tour, was to make a hole-in-one, but anybody can make hole-in-one on a short par 3, and it's kind of fun hunting. So I mean, if you gave me the 2, I'm gonna, let's make it a 650-yard par 5, a 350-yard drive, and then like a 300-yard long iron into the hole. I mean, that people will be talking about me for decades.
Oh, you'd be instant legend.
Yeah, I don't have a hole-in-one, but I had a 650-yard Albatross.
Put that on the Instagram story, and you just blow up even further.
Yeah, I go with that. So we're going Albatross. I'm going Albatross.
All right, we got 3 more. Links, Parkland, or Desert Course?
Links. I played a lot of Parkland growing up, and I'd seen a lot of it. But the first time I went to Scotland and Ireland and played those links courses, it changed my life in terms. If you're a golfer and you haven't seen it, go immediately. Just book it right now. Maybe not right now, but you gotta see it because it is something else. The links all the way.
Well, yeah, we'll plan for once the world is unpaused.
Yeah.
Woods or irons?
Irons. I love my irons. I'm one of the few guys that refuses to give up the 3-iron. I just love my 3-iron. Nobody says I love my 3-iron, except for fools like me. I don't know what it is. I guess I always just have enjoyed hitting those long irons, and there's something about just hitting a 3-iron right in the center of the club face. Maybe because you don't do it as often, that just brings you absolute joy. I mean, I can feel it right now. The pureness and the flight of that is really cool. I mean, I love hitting a big drive, but a long iron is good as well.
I have a feeling you're going to hit some lovely 3-irons today, but because you're in the right mental state, you're good to go. And this one's easy. Lastly, Encore golf balls or Encore golf balls?
I mean, let's go with the second option, Encore golf balls, right?
You know what we need to do? We need to get your avatar on some golf balls and get them out to you.
Oh, I would love it. That would be cool.
Touch base after. Maybe you can send us that logo, and we'll do something cool. We could maybe even do it out to your audience, do a limited edition or something like that. But we'll get some for yourself as well.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah,
I actually just sent you my thing. I'm that quick.
Awesome. Good. So to end, I just want to, well, for one, I want to thank you. Obviously, I appreciate all your time this morning, but also just open up the floor to you. If there's anything you want to promote, talk about, ask, feel free. If not, we can sign off, but the floor is yours.
Well, no, I mean, I'm in the process of writing a book. I'm not sure when that will be done. The book is my story on the RGB Tour, because I mean, we only jumped into the details and the numbers, and there's stories for days. Every day was a story that people would be interested in, because it was a big part of my life, and it has a lot of cool things to say about it in that book. So I'm not sure that will be done, but it's coming out. Maybe I'll come back on when it's officially launched and in production.
Oh, I love that.
And other than that, you find me on pjkoenig.com. I mean, there's more golf photos there than anybody will ever take a look at.
Yep, and we'll put your handle in the when we post this too. We'll make sure there's a link to anything and everything about you, especially your Instagram. It's just phenomenal work, and I was super excited to get to talk to you and meet you virtually. So hopefully we'll do that one day in person, and I can see you pure a 3-iron like you claim to do so.
Oh yeah, I would love it. Next time I'm out there in New York, we'll tee it up and hit them hard.
Sounds good, brother. Thanks so much. Take care.
Hey, you too. We'll see you.
All right. Bye.
Bye.